out to be completely unreliable assholes.
Tim.
Ryan.
Hello, Tim.
Hello.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 71 of our fair podcast, Dismembering Horror. The podcast show where myself, Ryan McDuffie,
And myself, Tim Haslin.
what do? We dismember a horror film every week, every Thursday, straight from our mouths to your ears. And what does it mean to dismember a horror film, Tim?
It means we watch a film and then we pick it apart.
Yes.
Or pull it apart or chop it apart.
Or dismember it. We talk about what worked for us, what did not work for us, and anything else we found interesting or noteworthy that fits into neither a pro nor a con in our minds. And this is true. Episode 71. We've been chugging along here. Chugging almost to 75. That'll be another demarcation. The only business I have before we get to our episode, or our more of our episode, because this is a part of it, is I think I failed to mention in October, Tim, during our October episodes, I think I may have, but in case I didn't, I wanted to mention that I went on a friend of the show's podcast, Retro Reviews, again, to talk about Poltergeist 3. And so this was my friend Peter's podcast. So I'd been on once before the show to talk about Poltergeist with them. Then we had Peter on the show to talk about Poltergeist 2, The Other Side. And then I went on to wrap it up and talk about Poltergeist 3. So between our two shows, you can hear a combination of us all talk about all three Poltergeist films. The episode on Retro Reviews was released October 22nd. You should check it out. It's more than I wanted to mention it beyond, of course, a recommendation. Found it.
Did you see that our friend Mikey on Instagram did one of those questionnaires and it said, name a sequel that exceeds its original?
Yeah, what did you say?
And I didn't say anything.
I said Troll 2.
That makes sense. But somebody put Poltergeist 2 and my head exploded.
Oh, yeah.
And so I asked him, I was like, who the fuck put this?
Good question.
Guess who it was?
Marissa?
Yep, his wife. She loves horror films.
Didn't she put a question mark?
No, I don't think so.
It is funny, though, because when you watch these movies growing up as a kid, you are kind of you accept it all as face value. You connect, like Cain could just be, oh yeah, that's why it's so good.
Yeah.
Anything else you sort of look beyond or are forgiving of.
I think she and I have spoken a fair amount about horror films that we like and whatever. And she definitely has a list that I don't know if she were to rewatch them now, if it would change her mind, but I think a lot of her movies potentially fall into that category of she is solely basing this off of her 15 years ago opinion of it.
But I wonder if she's someone knowing her who kind of can easily just snap back into that state as default.
I think she is. I think she would watch it and be like, I stand with my assessment.
It's great. A friend of mine, she loves shark movies, was talking about how as a kid she'd just watch all the Jaws movies and I'm like, oh yeah.
She's I love Jaws 3.
Yeah, well, no, it was just interesting to see as a kid. She said she would just kind of watch them all as this continuing adventures of the shark family and story. It was all great,
Yeah.
Jaws did not sit head and shoulders above the other ones.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, it's so true. I think I mentioned this too, where I watched Willow again.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not like it. And I was bummed out.
Yeah.
But so be it.
Well,
I liked it when I was a kid.
Well, we'll talk about it more later because we got this film to talk about.
What film?
Sumbakkokjil.
Wow.
Translating to, that was my attempt at Korean, spelled phonetically. That translates to hide and seek, or at least I don't know if it directly translates, but that was the Korean title for this film, called in English Hide and Seek. of which there are multiple films with that title, but this was the 2013 Korean film, Hide and Seek. I'm sure I just saw it mentioned on a thread of favorite horror movies, a list. However, we sort of got a lot of our entries in our hat that we pull our films from. And, what do we got to? Oh, yeah. So we watched the trailer.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Yeah, let's watch it.
All right. Here's the trailer.
If it's good.
2013, Hide and Seek.
언제부턴가 우리 동네에 이상한 소문이 떠돌기 시작했다. 남이 살고 있는 집에 몰래 들어와서 몸을 숨긴 채 살아가는 사람들에 대한 이야기였다.
그 사람 말입니다. 이 아무래도 실종된 것 같아요.
이런 누추한 아파트에 무슨 일이세요?
제 형이 이 아파트에 삽니다. 317호.
나가라고! 제발 형한테 그만 좀 훔쳐보라고 얘기해 주세요.
415 남자 1명, 여자 1명, 아이 2명.
How that trailer started out made me almost want to go kind of what we said about other trailers. Like, I wanted that movie. But then by the end, it was like, no, that was that movie.
Yeah, pretty much the movie. Yeah.
Just that first line about, like, there's squatters who live in hiding. I'm like...
Some squatter shaming going on in this movie. They really... Is this like a big issue?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, in general, I mean, it's just homelessness, you know?
Right, but like the actual, like... I wonder if that happens much here. Probably not, but...
I think there's a lot of...
Like people living, like, in abandoned places. Yeah, I guess so.
But I guess
there aren't that many abandoned places here.
Right. This is about not abandoned places.
Right. That's pretty intense.
Yeah. Can you imagine yeah.
I bet it happens.
Okay. Where are we at? Okay. Our rating. How does that lead into how we thought of it? Because I guess, I thought, oh yeah, the trailer started off saying, oh, there's squatters. And I said, I wanted that movie. This movie seemed to have very little in the end about that kind of like hide and seek of someone hiding in your house. Like I remember it was
right.
It was only a moment at the end when I was like, oh, here's finally the hide and seek moment because you had someone hiding in a closet looking out. And then even that, it's
a very loose use of hide and seek.
Which I wonder if the actual Korean title
probably totally different.
Even if it's the same words, I wonder if it like has a different kind of connotation or meaning or saying.
I think most likely.
Yeah.
Right? Like
okay.
Our lame, translation.
This is as to say this was pretty comparable honestly to like Trench 11 for me. As far as it just, it like never lived up to kind of what I was maybe led to believe it could be. And I guess more so too that it just like, it wasn't egregiously like just bad like other films that we've watched, like a total train wreck at all. There's plenty in it.
Yeah.
But like if in Trench 11, what sort of made it like, I'd say a lower tier stream it was, okay, fun evil Germans and some cool effects. Mm-hmm. This one, all it really kept me going was, it was like fun to watch. Like we had fun kind of playing it out and watching the moments. Yeah. But in the end, I was just kind of like blah, with it. And that almost sort of not offends me, but like...
disappoints you?
Yeah. I feel like above all, I want to think something's interesting in a film. And this was kind of like anything but. And I know I don't get as excited about you as kind of the like putting together clues thing just inherently. Yeah. Like I love it when it's supposed to be there and it's done super well.
Yeah.
And I get cut off with it. But here I was just kind of like, I guess I'm curious to see who the killer is, but that's about it.
Yeah. Well, there's some problems in I think the logic or execution of the clue mystery thing in this, and that's kind of where it falls apart.
Because it just was like flat, and that to me is just kind of the worst thing in a film for me. I almost wanted to go as far as to say avoid it. and was like really feeling that. But I think just because it was Korean and like that just keeps me engaged, just to see, oh, we're observing another culture, both in how they make a film and how they're being portrayed. That puts it in like a sort of lower tier stream it for me.
I think that the Trench 11 comparison, actually, there's one thing that, one thread. The lead in both of these movies is borderline charisma vacuum. Like, they're just kind of nothing until, like, at least in this one, he gets to a place.
Yeah.
But for the majority of this movie, it's just like looking into a fucking black hole.
So where does that leave you at as far as your rating?
And the stream too.
Yeah.
But I will say I'm not that close to an avoid. Like, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it. I wasn't like, this is fucking trash.
Well, that's the thing, like...
But it's got problems.
Of course, when I say, well, this is trash, I put it as an avoid. But there's something about it when it's like... God, like, what's an example of other films that we watch? I can't think of one off the top of my head.
That does what?
Where it's like, I'd say the execution level is kind of the same, but because it felt like either there was just more interesting things about it. Like, either they were going for more and failing, and that's fine because at least they were going for it, or like the ideas behind it kind of were coming through and kind of kept me thinking and having fun. Mm-hmm. This just didn't have any of that for me. It's just like utterly forgettable. Like, there are films that I'd say are just as mediocre, but they actually sort of leave me something with, you know? But this was just kind of like, when it's just not interesting in the end, I'm like, those are the movies that I'd tell myself to avoid. But again, this wasn't quite that. I'm giving it a stream it because of its, I guess, Korean-ness.
Yeah. It's got issues.
Yeah.
Well, I feel bad because I feel like it's super close to being really good.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't get there.
Well, let's figure it out. I feel like there's a couple core things that they just were holding it back. But honestly, this is, I think, one of the more fascinating types of films to talk about and dismember on our show, because it's not just ragging on it. It's not just praising on it. It's kind of, we do have to thoroughly dismember it.
Yep.
To figure it all out. So let's get into that. We got our summary first.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I don't know anybody's name. Like, fuck.
So the main dude is Sung-soo. You don't have them up in front of you?
I do, but like, when I was listening to them pronounce the names and reading the subtitles, I was like, that's not how... I wouldn't say his name is Sung-soo based on what you hear.
Yeah, so, I mean...
It's so much different.
That's fine, I think, just as long as we're saying them consistently.
We just destroy the pronunciation here.
Sung-soo.
Okay, so...
And Joo-hee were the main two. So Sung-soo is the main dude that Tim said was Charisma Vacuum 2.0.
Can we just call him Sung? I don't know.
Sure.
Sung-soo. Okay,
and then Joo-hee was the squatter lady.
Well, no. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then everyone else can just be referred to in relation to Sung-soo and Joo-hee, because we have Min-ji, Sung-soo's wife, and then Joo-hee's daughter. Sung-soo, main dude. Joo-hee, squatter. Min-ji, wife.
Okay. All right. So Sung-soo.
What about Sung-soo, Tim?
All right, he's bland and he does have a compulsion. He's got a bit of OCD,
and he's bland because he's traumatized from betraying his brother with skin disease at a young age.
That's right. We'll talk more about that later. So he gets a call. He's like a buttoned up dude, business guy.
They're well-to-do.
Yeah,
upper middle
class for sure. He gets a call essentially saying that his brother is no longer living in the apartment that he was living in.
He's got a wife and 2 kids.
Sung-soo has a wife and 2 kids. Yeah. So, and he gets his call. His brother is gone. The landlord of the brother's apartment is like, you got to come get his shit. And he hasn't heard from or like known the whereabouts of his brother for many, many years.
Because he betrayed him.
Yeah, they are estranged.
Yeah.
So he decides to go, like, check it out and go see if he can maybe even find his brother or something. It's kind of vague. But he goes to the apartment and it sort of unfolds this mystery of, like, where is the brother and what's been happening, and God, I don't know what else. That's his main goal, is to figure out where his brother is.
But then we quickly get caught up in, as far as the movie goes, though, that's just that character's sort of beginning of his journey. But in the movie, we start off with a murder.
That's right.
A motorcycle helmeted person killing a resident.
His neighbor.
Yeah, his or her neighbor.
Well, yeah.
Their neighbor.
Their neighbor.
And then that intersects with Sung-soo, the dude's story.
Yeah, because he gets to his brother's apartment and discovers that not only does his brother have a bunch of women's things in the apartment, toothbrush, bra, like sanitary napkins, like stuff like that, but he also discovers that there is a pathway, like a hidden pathway between that apartment and the next door apartment, which we, the audience, know is the apartment of the girl who was murdered by the motorcycle helmet guy.
Anyway, how do we get to, where does this go to?
So, yeah, where does it go to? It goes into just this kind of like, I don't even know how you describe it, because it's like, what the fuck is
It's not cat and mouse.
No, well, okay, actually, you know what it does is the second he arrives at that apartment, the motorcycle helmet character starts stalking him and his family.
Right.
That's the story.
Okay. Great. I knew we'd get there in the end.
But it's very meandering and sort of like, what the fuck is going on? There's a lot of stuff.
It feels like
that.
We just kind of go from a scene where they're directly confronting this killer and kind of have a fracas with him or her, and then, I mean, it ends up to be her or whatever. The person who's pursuing them is this squatter.
Another neighbor.
Yeah, it's another neighbor, this like crazy lady with a daughter.
Yeah, what was her name?
Juhi. Yeah. And then, so it goes between the scenes of their fracas and then kind of like the mom doing something stupid or not taking care of her kids, right?
Oh my God.
And then...
Don't get me started.
And then at some point, our hero, Sung-soo, changes from being hurt and stoic to more like, I'm carrying a golf club. I'm going to actually fight.
That's right. Like I said, the rich man's weapon of choice.
And then Juhi moves into like, her plan is to take over this family's apartment.
Right. Which I guess she's been doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not the first time.
She's marked the apartments. Oh, and that's going on too. Is she's gone around to who knows how many apartment.
All of them?
Like, yeah. And is like kind of writing in code the combination of people living there. 1 man, 2 kids, a woman, 1 child, whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, too.
All right, that hopefully paints a picture. We aim with these summaries not to necessarily... We hope you've watched this film, and this is just kind of a fun, like, digestion and discussion of the film we all just watched together. But so we hope the summary more just gets across how we felt, or what we took away. What we took away the movie was, and whatever that says to you.
Yeah.
And for anyone listening who hasn't watched it, well, that's what you're getting. All right. Should we do what worked?
Yeah.
What worked?
What worked for you? What worked for you?
It worked like a charm, Smith.
What worked? What worked for you?
I mean, I think there's some pretty obvious generalized things.
It felt like a movie.
That's one of the first things I said when it came on, and you're seeing this young woman walking in a, I don't know, it's kind of like a shipping pier area.
It's so interesting, that measure of like when we've watched, I remember The Ritual, I said something similar about that. I'm like, okay, from the first shots, I was buying into it like a actual film.
Yeah.
But like when we watched Death Bell, it was kind of like, this is a little...
Yeah.
Just in combination, how it's shot, just how it's lit. The word mise en scène, you know, every aspect of the finished image.
Yeah, and there's some really good images.
Oh my god, that shot of the building,
the best shot
of the not the rich building, but the
the angular, slummy, sort of multi-tiered, you know, multi-component.
Oh, this like gorgeous orange green kind of.
It's great.
Yeah,
there's sort of a mist around everything. It's really nice.
So, as far as the performances, I'll agree. The main guy, Sung Soo, not a lot to offer, except, as you kept pointing out, his eyebrows.
Ooh, boy, did he have quizzical looks galore.
Oh, his eyebrows did the fun heavy lifting. And it was, as you said, fun to like watch him build to an explosion, and was satisfying once he finally got there.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like, I thought the kids overall were really good. There was the daughter with the eye patch.
She was cool.
Joo-hee's daughter brought a kind of intensity.
I mean, I think Joo-hee is...
And that
actress fucking rocked.
That's what I was getting to.
Woo!
Yeah, Joo-hee, who plays the crazy woman squatter, she kind of made the movie for me.
You know who she reminds me of a lot?
I wonder if it's the same person I'm thinking of. Who?
I don't remember her name, but it's the woman in Dances with Wolves who won Best Supporting Actress, I think, for that. I'd have to look up her name, but...
I haven't seen that.
She was also in Battlestar Galactica. She's the president.
I was thinking of the woman who's in... oh, God. What's her name? She's in... Is it... No, God, I'm looking for it right. Okay, she's in Donnie Darko as the, like... I question your commitment to sparkle motion, and she's in like The Frighteners.
Beth Grant?
Yeah, is that her name? Yes, that's her, totally. She's like the American equivalent for me.
That's
or like
interesting. She's just a little older in my mind than this character, but
just
I get
as
what
far
you're
as
saying.
like crazed woman that's just like, but super fun in like playing that role. So her name is Moon Jung-hee, played Joo-hee. And she, was so much fun watching just become unhinged and like, I don't know. She was great. She was great. She was the highlight of the movie for me.
No question. Yeah. I wonder if you could make this movie, I guess she has to be in the sort of position that she's in. She can't really be the protagonist or the false protagonist. Yeah. But man, she's good.
Because it's fun because you sort of are with them when she invites them over for coffee or tea. And you kind of like know that she's been through some stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, like we're wanting to she's still in a place where we're giving her the benefit of the doubt. She's just hurt. But
you know what could potentially be a cool way to reframe this movie is if you told it from Joo-hee's daughter's perspective.
Yeah.
And you sort of keep things from the audience, like Joo-hee's daughter is never revealing certain things. It's like in Carrie, you have that kind of weird abusive relationship with the mom, but you get to see like,
I think
it wouldn't work.
That's interesting or noteworthy, which is why I'd want to save it for that section.
Yeah.
If
I'll bring it back up. Probably I'll forget.
What else did you like about it? What worked for you?
I like the class sort of themes, of just putting up how lower class or whatever you want to call it, like less fortunate, whatever the fuck, how in this movie, how it's sort of depicted in that like perspective from the richer guy, he's ashamed of like the state that his brother was living in, and like he feels uncomfortable around anybody who's dirty. Like having him have this affliction of like OCD-ness is actually a really smart fucking framing for his character, because it does speak to the larger thing of class, of like what it means to be upper or lower or middle or whatever class in relation, they're using like cleanliness as a representation of the class system. And I think that's actually pretty fucking cool. And I think it's a good thematic thing to have have movies about. Not about, but like have as themes in movies. I think it's important to sort of point at that stuff.
All that worked for me
because holy fuck, you like the just insane naivety of his wife.
Okay. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like really points at that stuff, and it's stark. You go, whoa.
Oh, you mean
they're living
in a realistic way?
Yeah, in a great way, because you're like, holy shit, they're living in a different fucking world.
Yeah.
And that's great to see. Like when you get those like clear sort of lines of like, oh, they don't even fucking get it.
Yeah,
I like that shit a lot.
I'll agree. Yeah, I generally agree. I like that class divisiveness stuff that was there. But
like when
for
Juhi
me,
sees her coat and she's like, I love that coat.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that coat? That whole like that stuff I think is really pleasing.
I had that specifically. Yeah, sun recognizing coat was a good part. But wait, what I wanted to say was, for me, it was more specifically just the setting. As far as playing into the class, just have our two distinct settings be this more slummy apartment and then the high rise upper middle class apartment.
Yeah.
And just that inherently, like visually, architecturally, like whatever sort of we get thematically imbued in us from those settings, the fact that that was just there worked. I don't agree so far as much as like, I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot that was intentional about the class stuff that worked for me. I'll put it that way.
But there was intentional stuff.
Right. But sorry, intentional as far as like, the stuff that was there just because it was there was working, but I don't think
this
it was
is
delivered.
to me this is a broad stroke.
Great.
For example, I think it's a really cool window in to this theme when you see the first time the kids go to play the little video games in the more slum-ish area.
Oh yeah.
Right? And that's playtime for them. And as a result, they get kind of fucked with and kidnapped sort of by a really sketchy dude. And like that scene plays out with another neighborhood person who ends up being Juhi, but like showing up and like kind of saving the day, like protecting the neighborhood. Whereas the converse scene happens later when the Sung-Soo's son is playing in the playground that is like the playground of the complex. So it's contained and it's supposedly safe and all of that. They even have a fucking security guard. And
all these security cameras.
Yeah, security cameras all over the place. So it seems really like safe and contained. And yet there's a dude with a fucking motorcycle helmet just standing there like a fucking creeper. And the security guard doesn't really do shit. Like they have to say like, "Hey, go look at it." I just like the showing the difference in the attitudes around the neighborhood and like these two different neighborhoods and like the environment and like how in this case like the playtime of the kids. It's very starkly different, and I just like seeing those two things put up against each other.
And I thought this was maybe where you're kind of going with it too, but the that was really cool. And I didn't have that down. I just thought of it as far as the bad person, the bad guy, the antagonist figure. I'm kind of even more trying to say like if this was a slasher movie, that just the villain, you know, in essence of being this black leather, black helmet figure carrying various beating weapons. But just the fact that, so what I thought you're going with was that she was like you can't say she could just stand there being a creeper in this like richer area and no one really does much about it. I think that, I don't know if that was intentional it was, but that in itself is creepy because I buy it, you know, like we kind of like when you do like what do you do? They're standing in the elevator with you and not hitting a button. Like if we're supposed to sort of by our norms, you know, we're supposed to trust them. And we should. They have no reason. Maybe they're just a little weird. We don't know what's under that helmet.
But rest assured, if you're in a quote unquote poorer neighborhood and somebody's acting fucking weird, people will come out and go, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing? This is my neighbor. Like, there's a very different culture around how you deal with, sketchiness in the different classes.
Like how,
Like, rich people have this sort of like ostrich syndrome about it. Like, they just want to fucking ignore, I don't want to see it. I don't want to look. I don't want to even acknowledge it. And like, I personally, in my experience and in my life, like living in not super wealthy neighborhoods, we fucking call shit out. We go, hey, you can't do that shit here.
That's exactly that ostrich syndrome. That is the scary stuff that's in there. That's
like,
cool.
I used to have a dude who would sleep at the bottom of our parking, like the stairs down to where the parking garage was. And it's like, we would just be like, hey man, like, you can't sleep down here. Like, we get it, but you can't do it. Like, I would do that. And then I would watch other people in my building, just walk by him, like step over him. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, guys,
take a stance one way or the other.
Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, he obviously needs a fucking, like, a little bit of engagement. Like,
yeah.
It's not cool for him to sleep down there. It's dangerous, potentially.
That's the scariest thing for me, is that
in a bunch
as
of
if
ways.
they don't exist, treating them like they don't exist.
Well, yeah. So that, I guess what that ultimately kind of becomes is it's the dehumanization of those people, right? And there's tends to be this theme of rich people, and this is a reality, I think. Certain rich people or certain class people want to dehumanize and ignore it.
Well, and that's
in ignoring it, they're dehumanizing.
That's what gets at. That's that horror in me of like, well, what's that? What's the inevitability people are ignoring of like, it's kind of like the Hunger Game things. Do we just keep banishing them further and further,
right,
like outside our city limits? Like, so I liked in this film, this is sort of a moment that got at that, was the stuff towards the beginning of the homeless man, like just acting like, as you'd say, a total sketch ball.
Sure. He's having a flip out.
Releasing some kind of like liquid in the bathroom. And then we have our main guy, I think it was Sung-soo, our main guy, saying like, oh, should I call someone? What should I do?
Oh, no, it's not even him. It's his assistant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's a female assistant there in his, I don't even know what he does, but whatever, in his office.
Yeah.
Who's like, she's like showing compassion. And he just is like, he just stares at it. He has no response.
Did that end up being a sort of a nightmare when he saw him breaking into his refrigerator?
Yeah, that was a nightmare.
So I liked all that stuff.
It never fucking comes back around.
I like the sketch, these people being confronted with the sketchy homeless person.
Yeah.
And having to deal with that. And thought that was kind of where maybe we were going more. As you said, it never leads anywhere. But I liked that towards the beginning for what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think all of that stuff is like, it felt like good setup, good sort of like get us in the world. It's evocative of at least defining sort of where the characters come from, like where like their worldview is or what their worldview is. So I think that stuff,
or lack thereof.
right, exactly. I think that stuff is working up to a point.
Yeah. I had fun getting caught up with just who the identity of the killer was.
Totally.
Like, yeah, I guess it was pretty obvious at a point, but it was still, regardless if you guess it or not, it's fun to be like, oh, what's behind that mask? You see them so much. You just want to like, and there's so many moments too where it's like he almost gets the helmet off, but then doesn't. So
I really commend the filmmakers for choosing to have at least a woman in that outfit portraying it, because there is a moment when she's reaching through the little it
was like a doggy door, but for a rat. I don't know.
So
what
I think it's for delivering
mail
like
slot.
Maybe mail, maybe like milk.
Yeah,
they call her the yogurt lady. So I was like, oh, did they get yogurt delivered through there?
I guess so.
So that's cool. So it's a little tiny, slot in the door, and the hand comes through and grabs the Sung-soo's son by the ankle. And the second that happened, you see a bit of the forearm, even though it's like in a black shirt. I was like, that's a woman's arm.
Yeah.
And I think that's really that's the way you should do it. Like,
I have to say though, you're especially good at kind of like just instinctually receiving those little things. Like, I don't know, I didn't know, you know.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I didn't notice, but I think you just are kind of like very in tune to just, I don't know, like naturally looking for those things and then having...
Yeah, well, especially in this type of movie, like why I like these movies is because I want to play the detective.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I want to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm looking. Like,
I wasn't
really
even
looking.
I guess I wasn't even assuming one or the other. I just wasn't looking.
Well, I kept thinking to myself, too, they're doing some really fun stuff of leading the audience, but like kind of saying, hey, we're leading you. Mm-hmm. And I like all that. It's like, it's on the nose enough of like, yeah, we're basically telling you to think that this is the brother over and over again.
I didn't think that, though.
There were a bunch of moments where I was like, oh, they're doing it again, where they're kind of trying to tip their hand, but like in a, we know that this is not, like, it's over tipping the hand, but purposefully. Like, I wish I could give a
That's
good
just what
example.
the Scream movies do so well, as far as like really playing with that device and making us question everything.
Right.
Because
it's like, we know
it knows it's trying to lead us.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that stuff. I think it's fun.
For whatever reason, I just didn't receive that or pick up on that.
During the it's not the final fight, but it's pretty close. In the slummy building, when Sung Soo is really actually battling the helmeted person, there's some tips. Like, there's a couple moments where it's like, this is definitely, they're trying to make us think that it's the brother and a guy, but there's little hints that it's not.
So I
like it.
I want to push along here because I think we got a lot more for what did not work, and that's where the heart of the discussion is. But just last thing to say, like you said, that last battle, I thought generally like the fracas scenes were fun. Mm-hmm. Like, you had that like fun moments, like where right after they block her from getting to the door, she like shoots her arm through the window next to it. Yeah. A lot of kind of like pick up the potted plant, go out onto the roof, just fracas stuff. Yeah. But specifically to the opening scene, I
wanted to say that too. That the construction of that scene is fucking great.
Yeah, it's set up for, you can see me. I'll save this for what did not work, but yes, very good.
Like, so just the kind of the point by point aspect of that scene, they're leading the audience just enough to be like, see, she left the door open. See, she's got a camera. Like, you're just a fraction of a step ahead of the character.
Speaking of Scream, it was basically, that was the scene of just woman getting stalked and killed.
It was really, really well paced and well sort of constructed to show us and get us on like, oh shit, level.
And like, also kind of what put it in where I'd tip it to horror movie too,
Definitely.
Not just thriller, because that was like pure kind of slasher scene.
I think in the middle of the movie, I kind of started to feel like, fuck, this doesn't really feel like a horror film anymore. And then it kind of came back around. So,
Yeah. There's a boogeyman.
Yeah, exactly.
And that actually, something overall is what worked for me too. I think it's harder and harder nowadays to like turn just someone who's a straight up human regular person into like a villain, rather than just a damaged person. Mm-hmm. But the combination of how messed up they were and unpredictable they were, plus just the visual, purely the visual, just all black leather, scary helmet, like that tipped it into horror movie fun for me.
Despite a lot of the other story kind of distractions or plot lines or attempts to make it murky about what was going on, ultimately I do really like the twist itself, like that, oh, it's this neighbor. Mm-hmm. And that what she's doing, like what her actual agenda is, that she's unhinged and has her own compulsion, which makes her a fun whatever opponent
Yes.
to the main guy who has his compulsions, which are kind of similar.
Stoic versus unhinged.
Right, but like she, collects things kind of compulsively for her daughter, and she ignores the dead bodies in her fucking apartment, right? Like she's ignoring a reality. And I think that's a really fucking good construct up against his version of ignoring reality.
Yeah.
Like they're really, really good sides of the same coin.
His ignoring reality being as a kid when he just lied, told a lie about his brother to get him prosecuted.
Yeah, so the character construction, I think, is with those two really fucking good.
Anything else nice to say before what did not work for us? Let's do it then.
No.
All right. What did not work for us?
It's not ready yet.
Seems to work okay.
No, something important's missing.
What did not work?
And I wanted to say it worked for me because it worked the first time. When he reaches over and grabs that plant potter when he's fighting the dead girl's boyfriend on the roof, and it's that whole thing of they're struggling and it's right out of reach, and he gets a hold of it and he smashes it over his head and gets away. It's great. But then they did it again. And then they did it again to the helmeted fucking bad guy.
Right.
With a brick. It's like, yo.
Well, it was so funny, Tim, because it had me trained that then it happened again, but was with him trying to reach a lighter to like set stuff on fire. But I kept imagining like, oh, he's going to hit her in the head with this lighter. or like he's going to like light her, like just put a flame on her nose or something. I was like so trained at that point.
I was like, you can't do it again. Like, what the fuck?
If you do, don't make a thing of it. Make it.
It became his thing.
No, make it so it just kind of happens. Don't like,
right.
Oh, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it?
Oh my God.
Yeah, pretty funny.
You know what? Well, yeah, I guess we kind of covered it, the fracases. But yeah, like that really hindered those moments. It just like undercut those things.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I set it up front when giving it my in review summary to how I got to my rating. But like Death Bell or Trench 11, it just felt like it never lived up to whatever the poster and description made me think it was going to be.
Well, yeah.
And that led me to question, like, I don't know, to start off with that, was there... So if I guess overall it was like, I just wanted what I thought, you like it to be honed in a lot better to whatever those themes were, that idea were. I wonder if it could just be way simplified, and if that's what was going on. Starting off with the question, did we even like need that brother background stuff?
So that actually is to me one of the biggest what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
I don't get it, actually. I don't understand what that backstory provides.
And this is what I said about Trench 11, was this film really seems to me like the kind of thing where they have the script and they go, oh, it works. It feels like it's a movie. It functions. This opening scene is good. And then at some point, too, they went, oh, but how do we make the stakes more personal for this main character? And then they just kind of give this, like, what felt to me, I don't know, kind of out of place in the end background. It
feels, and I don't know if this is any sort of, writing rule or anything, but it feels like they thought that backstory is character, and it's not. Right? It's backstory. It can inform the character,
right.
But they're acting as if that makes this very bland character more interesting, and it doesn't. Like, he has to actually be a character.
You can see that with the mother too, because she was given no background, so therefore she didn't feel like a character.
You mean the bad mother?
No, the good one.
No, the good mother. Oh my God. I mean, yeah, I'm like, she just seems like a fucking idiot.
Right?
Like, and that's kind of okay if the father, our lead guy, has an opinion about it.
Yeah.
Because then you've got character, right? You've got conflict and you have a point of view.
Or the movie's acknowledging it.
Right. But instead, she just does dumb fucking stuff. She leaves her kids alone like 4 fucking times. And after the first time, bad shit happens. Don't fucking do it again. Right. Otherwise, we're like, you're just a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't ever have an opinion about it. So it's like, well, then who gives a shit that these characters are not even characters? They're just whatever.
Yeah.
So backstory in his case doesn't help the character at all. And it doesn't make me understand him better.
So what do you think it's a greater, what it's getting at maybe in a greater way? Because it's like, yet the script still functions because of it, like in a certain way, you know?
Well, because it's a plot device.
Yeah.
It's literally just like, oh, I had a brother and here's the plot reason that we don't talk anymore.
But it just seemed so bland to me.
It is, because it's like, who gives a shit?
Right.
I don't even know what the lie is. You know, the lie that what did his brother supposedly do that made him as a kid say, yeah, he did it?
Yeah.
No fucking clue.
Yeah.
So who cares? Then it means nothing.
It was something about, I don't know, I read it in one of the reviews, I forget.
Like, if he was sneaking into people's houses and doing sketchy shit, then...
A black sheep and convicted sex offender.
That's what the brother is as an adult, though. But are we supposed to just, I don't know, connect those dots to that's what he did as a kid?
I think it was, yeah, he was calling him out for something in that sex offender realm.
But then if he became that, then was our lead guy as a kid right?
Well, here, what does that have to...
It just makes it all... it's all murky and convoluted to me.
The thread is so tenuous because thematically it's saying, so by sort of ignoring, you know, the homeless people, the class divide stuff, we are also ignoring our past or our sort of responsibility to our family. Like, what is...
Yeah. I mean, or is it the other way around? So maybe this is what actually is they were trying to do. Let's say in that flashback scene, the kids' flashback scene, the brother had actually committed some crime. And our lead guy as a kid tells the truth, but everybody around him wanted him to lie. Mm-hmm. I think I'm giving them too much the benefit of the doubt. But if that were true, that informs who he became, somebody who ignores things, because him telling the truth as a kid caused too much problems in his life. So he became an adult who doesn't tell the truth, who ignores the truth.
Yeah.
If that were true, I would actually understand him as a character more.
Yeah.
But the way it's framed is different.
The way that it's framed, I think you're right with where you started. Like, is it? Oh God, sorry.
So he did lie. He falsely accused his brother of a crime.
Yes.
That's fucked up.
Right.
Then he's an asshole.
Yeah.
It's way more interesting if he told the truth in the face of everybody else around him.
No,
wanting it to be a lie. Wanting him to lie.
I actually like that as far as, because if he's supposed to be some sort of OCD perfectionist, and like you could see telling that kind of lie playing into that character of like, I don't know, as if somehow, you know, to lie to preserve some kind of image, or
I agree in the adult version.
Yeah.
But I think the kid version should be the other way around in terms of forming character.
Yeah.
Because then it sort of goes, oh, now we see a trajectory. We see how he got to this thing.
I think
as opposed to him always having been that thing.
I feel like it's in the weeds, and you were right as from the get-go.
I'm trying so hard to make it work.
as far as what you said, where they were just mistaking, like, yes, for a character you have to have their background built and like but that doesn't mean you have to show it. and make the movie about it. You don't have to make the whole movie about it.
No, like that somehow his decision making is
make this just about like we have the family and a couple like sketchy people and just that back and forth. We don't need this whole
in Fatal Attraction. It's a decision that spurs the insane person on, not a like coincidental backstory.
Right.
Right? It's too disconnected.
Or it's like, it's enough to like just seeing this family deal with this plight. Like, great, do that well.
Like, have there be an actual moment of quote unquote sin, right? Like, if they get to the squatter apartment building.
They did that, but just as he was a kid. That was what the flashback was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, fuck the flashback. It doesn't work. Do it in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, have him have this worldview that wildly fucking offends the unhinged person. You know, and
like he calls the police to get rid of him outside of the store.
Sure, anything like that then we go, when it's revealed that it was this neighbor doing the stalking and the killing and all that shit the whole time, we go back to this moment of, oh, he pissed her off. And maybe it's unjust.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be justified. It just, like, in her mind, it needs to be justified. But it could be just as nuts that she took this one little thing that he did that offended her or, like, pissed her off and ran with it. And that I'd be like, fucking no problem. Great.
There could be a lot there too with just the fact that he's trying to be a good father. What choices is he, that's an interesting conflict of how do you protect your kids while at the same time try to teach them good morals as far as like taking care of, the less fortunate, yada, yada.
Yeah. Yeah. He's such a bland character. He has no, like, he doesn't fucking
I also
do anything.
Was kind of let down with the whole, like, at first the symbols thing was kind of cool, but then it just became like,
that's my big other one. Honestly,
then it just became like,
what's the logic?
Why do you keep showing us it like so much? It was as if it was supposed to be this mystery. Oh, it's such a big deal.
But also, what the fuck does it accomplish? What does it accomplish for once you know what's up, like, right? That it's what's her name?
Well, no. I'm fine.
But what does it accomplish?
I'm fine with it.
She just is compulsively going around being like this. Why?
I think it's cool as a detail, like just to go, okay, to make this, like, if we're looking at this realistically, what could this woman be doing to kind of like plot this scheme out? But it doesn't mean you have to make it like this big, huge, like, clue mystery thing that like pops up every 5 minutes of him just looking at it with his furrowed brow.
But
like,
how does it help? How does it help her plan? That's my problem with it. It is a very cool detail.
Yeah.
It to me, the detail that somebody is going around obsessively marking this down is super cool.
I would do that in her position. I'd be like, okay, how many people do I have to oust from this house? What kind of rooms do they have? How many people might I have to potentially kill?
Is that the logic, to do it to every fucking room?
I mean,
that's what I don't get. It falls apart to me. What I think would be cool is that if it was just a part of her compulsion, and that.
Well, it is
that it's a red herring, that he thinks it has some broader meaning, that it's like, that it's a clue, and it's not. It's just a fucking thing that she compulsively does because she's...
Oh, like the symbols were totally meaningless?
Well, the symbols can mean something, but they don't lead to any sort of revelation.
No, see, that's exactly it. That's how it played for me, was like, I think it was this kind of this weird compulsion thing, but it was built up to be this revelation.
That's what I'm saying. If to me, a cool way to use that and have it lead to an oh shit moment is that when he gets into their apartment and like opens the bathroom door or something, the walls are just covered in that same shit, and you go, ooh, this doesn't mean something. She's just fucking
show it how
way
it
far gone.
Means something. That's where I was getting at. It's like it can make practical sense to her,
Exactly. But not to the case.
Yeah.
You know, like,
that sounds so cool when you just said it. Make it so she's like gone crazy with how much she's written it inside. Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a indicative of her state of mind rather than it having a concrete like purpose to the outer world.
So, okay. So I'm going to read from Variety, the review for it. Here are some nice things that they said, and I thought it was a good jumping off point for let's hear us try to refute them. On a purely cinematic level, Hide and Seek operates on the now you see me, now you don't level suggested by the title, goosing the audience by having characters appear and disappear suddenly. Yay or nay? Hardly is what I'd say.
Yeah, and but that's too loose to connect to the game of hide and seek.
Well, it's just like there were a few moments that didn't even have to be in a hide and seek premise of like the daughter peeking out a closet or like the body's hiding in the closet or like going from one apartment to another. It never felt like it was sort of the promise of the premise. It was never there in that sense.
No, not at all.
Okay, so I guess we disagree with the reviewer on that one. But on a deeper psychological level, it taps into fears of having one's privacy invaded, suggesting a cross between old folk tales about changelings and break-in thrillers like Pacific Heights or the recent The Purge.
Kinda. I mean, I think that's vaguely the genre we're in.
Again, I feel like they're describing the movie that I wanted it to be, but
like, if that were true, then I would want the woman like already have integrated herself into their place somehow.
Yeah. Have it be this like tense, immediate thriller horror of someone living in my house or not?
Like, the kind of the invasion of your safe place construct, you know, in like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, where it's like, slowly over the course of that movie, you see that this person that they let in kind of devolve into believing that the place is now their place and no longer your place. You let her in and then she took advantage of it.
Yeah.
And that never happens in this. Like nothing even close to that sort of happens.
A film I recommended, deaded before, was Sleep Tight, a Spanish film. It was kind of exactly that, and it was great. It was all like in this apartment, and it was about who is it, like not the manager, but I think it was like the handyman or the manager of this apartment who like spies on the neighbors, and then this one woman starts specifically like breaking into her house and stuff, and it was honed in that sense.
You know, there were glimmers of the thing that I love about this construct of the unhinged person, the person who lives in such an unreality or like worldview is so, for lack of a better term, insane that you can't reason with them, right? That they, like if you, like in the end of this movie, the kid is like, this is our house. And the woman's like, no, it's my house. Coming up against that is scary as fuck.
That would be scary. Yeah, it's scary in itself.
It never...
Right, it didn't build to it.
Gets to the thing.
Like once it happened where... Yeah, exactly. Once she was all crazy at the end and they were threatening to burn it down and she was like, but this is my house. This is our home. I'm like...
She needed to have been living there for a while for us to, or like trying to live there, or like
it could have been something. Like I'm like,
she just got there that day.
I'm like, where is this coming from? If it was a movie about how does she get to that point, or was she from the beginning to that point at that point, and we're learning about it? But it was just like all of a sudden this like thing we're supposed to buy into, just it was not there.
You know how you do that, I think, or one way you could have done that in this is if that woman, the Juhi character, had worked for them in some capacity. Like if she was like a housekeeper for them.
Yeah.
And over time, it's like, whoa, what a crazy coincidence that you, our housekeeper, who we've gotten to know recently, let's say, she's a new-ish housekeeper, are also the neighbor of his brother who's estranged, but like if you overlap those two stories, it'd be like you could at least have the characters go, whoa, this is trippy as fuck. Like, how the fuck? And then they can have the thought, wait a minute, should we not trust her?
This is so effing frustrating. You haven't seen Parasite, Tim.
Oh, shit. Did I just write Parasite? Just now?
It's everything you've been saying during this whole review. It's like as if you were saying, why doesn't someone just make Parasite? Like,
awesome.
It's
well,
so
good.
good.
I'm glad somebody fucking did. I'll have to go watch it.
Okay, so now here's a...
So I mean, clearly that works better.
So this will, I think, allow us to segue into the mother leaving the kids alone. But here's another quote from that same Variety review. Kim Sang-bom and Kim Jae-bom's impeccably timed editing allows the viewers no time to dwell on plot inconsistencies or the protagonist's infuriatingly stupid behavior, such as the fact that they never call security guards or the police until it's too late.
Didn't I say at one point, call the fucking cops?
Yes.
What are we doing?
And don't leave your kids alone.
This idea... just on the face of it, the idea of we're in a neighborhood that we don't know.
She could let the kids go play and then at least just keep eye contact of them.
That
she
like
had to turn like a foot. What the hell?
You have completely alienated me as the watcher of this film at that moment.
Yeah,
because I'm like, you're just the worst fucking person, and not in an interesting way, in a fucking dumb way.
You could have done that scene where it's like, okay, fine, it looks safe, so go play with it, and I'm gonna keep eye contact with you, and then Sketchball Dude comes out of nowhere, and she just can't get to them in time. Something else, I don't know.
Or fucking our antagonist distracts her accidentally. Like, she fucking turns and goes, oh, hey, do you live in this neighborhood? Or what the fuck ever. And in that split second, because it is scary when you have a fucking kid. I don't have a kid, but like I've looked after my godkids and my niece and nephew and my friends' kids, whatever. There is a moment sometimes when you do lose track of them for like what feels like a microsecond. You look away and you turn back and that kid is not where you fucking left them. And I'm talking within a matter of a second or two. And there is a moment of utter fucking distress panic. And then you like turn a little bit further and they're right there. And that's fine. But like, I want to see that. I want to see that mom have that where she goes, it was a second that I looked away.
Yeah. See her making relatable like choices and make it. It just made it totally unrelatable when she was that horrible of a mother.
And then she does it like 3 more times. And I'm like, well, fuck you.
Just stay here.
Just stay here. Yeah. Stay in this car.
She even lied on her phone with the husband when he was like, are you with the kids? And she wasn't. And she was like, yeah.
Why is she the worst person? Why? Kill her.
Just tell the truth. Why did you just tell the truth?
She got rocked in the dome twice and then is totally fine at the end of the movie.
Right.
Come on. Knock some fucking sense into her, maybe.
Jesus, Tim.
Shit.
Come on. That's kind of the summary and review, maybe.
Yeah.
The review and summary. Anything else, Tim? Do you want to get into our things of note?
I'm sure there's other stuff, but no, not really.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know if this is me just being weirdly sensitive, but like, it's actually not egregious in this, but because the character has a point of view of viewing like homeless people or like, people who are considered unclean by certain people in the world, looking down on that makes me like, it makes my cockles go up a little bit initially because I'm like, let's not fucking go there and be that shitty. But thankfully the movie isn't doing that. They're actually, kind of masking it. But the whole like in the trailer and in the movie, it's said at the beginning essentially and at the end, it's like the tag of the movie of like there's this story of squatters going around. It just feels weird to me as a like, it's demonizing and dehumanizing that group of people. And I don't like it. It just makes me feel kind of like...
Right. If you're going to do that, then make that like your movie where they're monsters or vampires, you know?
Right.
And then it kind of gets into appropriately tricky territory.
Right.
That calls
this
on
is
our
just
own.
sort of being like... Well, I guess the problem I have with it ultimately is that you can say it at the beginning. It can be a premise that's stated there, but we should learn something and change by the end, or the characters should have a different opinion. And by putting that same tag at the end, it's like, yeah, it's unfortunate that these rich people had to go through all of that. They're fine. They made amends with their own shit, but squatters are still bad.
Right.
What?
Or is more
It's
like
shitty.
it just wasn't taking a stance at all.
Yeah, but I mean, by having it be this sort of like kid saying, you know, oh, there's rumors or there's this folklore about it, just it seems misplaced. It doesn't feel right.
Well,
to
it
me.
felt like, I know there is a lot of that classism in in the world, but in Korean culture of just like there is that looking down.
Yeah,
you
and
know,
that's
they,
why it
they
makes-
should pull their weight, kind of
Right,
thing.
that's what makes it feel yucky to me.
But yeah, to have the filmmakers at all sort of not take a stance on that,
Yeah,
feels gross.
and or reinforce the ignorance of that,
right? Well, I think they're
or
I don't think
intolerance. I
I
guess
don't
of
think
it.
it's intentional. I really think it is just sort of not taking a stance. Like,
yeah. I don't like it. That's it.
all right. Next section then.
Sure.
Things of note.
This should be interesting.
What was the thing I was supposed to remember?
Oh, about something with the kid and about make it about the perspective of so that the character's daughter, that was Pyong-hwa was Joo-hee's daughter.
That's right. Yeah, I think it would be kind of interesting to do. If you could do it, I'd have to think about how you would actually do it. But let's just say you start with this person in that world, in the slum world. And so we sympathize with her right away because we see, ooh, this is not really a super safe place
Right.
for a little kid with maybe an unhinged parent.
Well, that movie I'd want to see that movie if it acted as a prequel to this. Make it be about like just the daughter and the mother, and from the point of view of watching your mother go to the point where she's killing people.
Sure.
Like, how
But
does she get to that point? That would be interesting.
I think and you know, let's say you did it with this, if this was the first instance of that, like we're watching this movie through that lens. So the action of this movie is happening to that little girl. So what would that mean? That would mean that like we see her in the beginning when the first murder happens and she witnesses that. Mm-hmm. She's involved sort of in it. Although I think we're supposed to believe in actuality that she was a planted distraction.
Well, what's interesting is that it's her
that may be
watching
true.
her mother, so it's like she's
right.
supposed to be her source of morality and what's right and wrong.
That's right. And so I think it's a really cool idea that we, the audience, don't know that the thing she witnessed, she knows is her mom doing it until later. Like, that's a fucking wild discovery to have. To see it through that kid's eyes and have a bunch of this action happen where, like, some rich guy shows up with his family and his two kids and they're kind of assholes to me. Like, I'm saying if I'm the little girl, right? Like, they're this rich family and then my mom has a flip out over it and, like, how that impacts my life as this little kid. And then we then see her behaving in you know, the onion peels back a bit more and we start to go, oh wait, like, why does she have all this stuff? And where that, like, seeing it through her eyes, I think just would be a cool
And talk about how much it could be a horror movie to think of it as a story of how does a little girl get to the point where she's on board with all this,
right?
Because like that was honestly kind of the ending of this movie with that daughter looking out. It felt like she was the new mother,
right?
So yeah, to make it all about how does a little girl's innocence get corrupted in that sense.
Well, and it really gives us an opportunity for, I think, what would be the cinematic moment of this movie, which would be if we've been led to believe through the eyes of this little girl that this helmeted murderer is out there, that when the little girl is in her place or someplace, whatever, and the helmeted person shows up, we go, fuck, she's gonna get it. And then the helmeted person takes off the helmet, or she goes up to it and gives it a hug, and you go, what is happening? And it is revealed that it's her mom, and you go, oh, this whole time, all of these little nuanced things of why that girl was acting the way she was and why her mom was acting the way she was make fucking sense now. Yeah. And we almost get that in this version of the movie, but it doesn't feel like a oh shit moment.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a, yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, there you go.
My only things of note have to do with, I feel like this is the equivalent of name dropping, but travel dropping.
Ooh.
Where I had the opportunity to go to Korea in my life, and just two things I observed that informed aspects of watching this. One bigger, one not so big, but the villain's look of being this motorcycle helmeted black leather like figure. So Korea, all over the place, there are these what do they call, like scooter delivery people, all kind of with different helmets on, but they're everywhere. They like go up on the sidewalks and stuff. Sure. It's crazy. So just that informs maybe a little bit why no one was sort of being suspicious of them, but there's a lot of sort of people with helmets like that.
Then give us a scene where they're chasing the one and they go into the city street and there's 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
Give me the fucking, that's the scene.
Yeah. And then a not so major one too, but was fun. Was how there was remember there was the little girl in it who kept practicing her English. Hello, my name is this. Sure. Nice to meet you. That is something that just little kids love to do there. Cool. They like, especially like me and my friend, being American, they've learned basic English. They say, hello, how are you? My name is this. And it's just really cute and funny. That's like, they love doing that. And in general, I think the adults who know English, they like practicing it.
Cool.
So little kids practicing English. There you go.
Nice. I have a rant. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's noteworthy because I don't really know what to think of it. But the Wikipedia page is basically non-existent on this movie. I
mean, the plot's shorter than it usually is. Ooh. The plot section.
Yeah, there's just not much. But yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Great. All right, well then, let's move on from Hide and Seek 2013, Sumbakkokjil, and do our RecommenDEADtions.
Cool. I watched Once Upon a Time in the West again.
That's a good movie.
I haven't watched it in quite a few years, and holy shit, that movie is good.
Yeah.
The score is so fucking good. Ennio.
It's Morricone, right?
Yeah. Dude, it's great. I don't even remember where I watched it. I think it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Or Amazon, or whatever. It's on one of those. It's just fucking great. That's it. That's mine.
Great.
Watch it. You should watch it again, everybody.
I already mentioned my, I'm just going to get on the bandwagon with the rest of the movie-going world and just say, yeah, Parasite, easy to recommend. I hadn't yet. Tim, you should
I go do that today?
Go see it in theater soon.
Okay. I'll try.
Especially coming off of this film, yeah. But I hope it's going to be kind of...
Is it scary? Is it suspenseful?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It gets there.
I love suspense.
Yes, you're going to enjoy it. Cool.
I'm feeling a level of suspense right now.
From what is the suspense I'm in store for?
Oh, just because I have to go to the bathroom really badly, but I'm holding off.
Well, first, before
'Cause
you
we're
do
so
that,
close.
Tim, we got to pick next week's film. I believe it's my turn. We got to refill this hat kind of soon. It feels like there's about 10 in here, maybe, so.
All right. I'll get on it. I'll cut up some more.
Uh-oh, Tim. This is one that I put in because it fell under So Bad It's Good.
Oh, no.
Which I know you hate, but it's a relatively recent one. I think it's a Blumhouse one called Wish Upon.
Jesus.
Do you remember what that is?
No.
Okay.
No clue.
You'll be finding out because...
Great. I like making fun of movies.
Yeah, 2017.
Wow.
Fantasy thriller.
Ooh.
It says...
Hey, maybe I'll love it.
Let's find out. Great. All right.
Cool.
Wish Upon.
Sweet, dude.
Next week. You can find us at dismemberinghorror.com. And
Yep.
You should
Don't put it back in the hat.
Oops, sorry. That's what I did last time.
Then I'm going to have to pull it again.
Okay, well, we'll deal with this.
Oh, no.
We got to wrap this up, Tim.
This is my worst nightmare.
Oh, I just saw it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so yeah, you invited us to Dismembering, but I was going to say you should leave us, help us out. Leave us a review on iTunes. Tell a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, do all that. And talk to us if you want on Instagram at Dismembering Horror or at DisHorrorPod on
Tell
Twitter.
us what movie you want to hear us talking about, and we will. We will.
True. We'll do it.
So until then, until next time, thank you so much for listening.
And we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.